Yeah.
So, we'll head into the draft. EG have had a couple of days to reset their roster, come into week 2 strong, and we will see how it paid off. As Immortals look to keep their 2-0 record rolling, I think they currently are everybody's favorite here in Academy.
100% agree with you on that one. Though, going into this draft, this is where Evil Geniuses Academy can sort of answer a question, or at least have a temporary answer to their lack of identity of saying, all right, let us create a composition that is simple, it's traditional, and everyone understands their individual roles accordingly. So might be a little bit more solo queue-esque in the sense of top to bottom, but it's something that might be a initial step going against a titan of a team that is Immortals Academy, who will most likely have a lot more to work with, not only in a flexibility of champion pools, but in the draft as well.
You want to see something like actually the last game we had, where we got Copy in here and we said, hey Copy, what was your role in this composition? And he was able to identify exactly what he was trying to do, exactly how he fit into the rest of the composition. You want to see that for EG, and that's what it has felt like has been missing.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be looking for. And going ahead and okay, B1 to Leah, that is something where I'm going to sort of touch back on what we were talking about at the beginning of the day, where Talia has been cursing a lot of these junglers in Academy, where you sort of get yourselves in these awkward positions. You know that you need to be pinpoint accurate with your Weaver's Wall to sort of create that divide to separate your opponent. And going up already into a blind setup and seeing Kindred on the other side, who can easily just hop the wall if they so choose, and also having the TF already locked in for Pretty. This is something that you got a comfort pick for Pretty. You can start to create a very structured game plan with these two players. All I'm looking out for is a top side for Tapoon or Keith, where they can start to rinse and repeat dives.
I think it's a very good way to paint this, because EG don't really get anything out of that Talia.
No.
By default, you're looking for a team fight comp, you're looking for a composition that functions well together. I'm not seeing that yet. We'll get Renekton and Kai'Sa to follow up.
This is feeding more into Immortal style. Like, you have Renekton top side, cool, that's great, but Gnar is still available. You can still play that weak side of the map. You can play an Ornn if you want to just hang out there and then continue to just say, you know what, it's okay, we can just play the safe side, focus Keith and Joey, invest all those resources from Potluck and Pretty, and that's the obvious answer. You don't need to complicate it any further as Immortals, picking up that Gnar for Tapoon.
And again, you can see, like you were saying, Immortals are perfectly happy to leave that Renekton-Gnar matchup going. Tapoon is good enough to probably win it, and if he doesn't, they're not relying on him to win.
Exactly.
And what they built for the rest of the team with a roaming Talia, you better hope that Talia is more relevant in bot lane skirmishes than the Kindred. And that doesn't feel like a safe bet to make.
No, it's something where I look at the draft right now and I'm saying, if you wanted to create an obvious win condition for Evil Geniuses Academy, I would have B2, B3 Camille Galio. They're still available right now. It's an obvious win condition that you can approach on, and it also complements what Tony Top had picked up in B1, which is that Talia. So you have that top dive focus, you can create that Camille engagement composition, and it's something where everyone starts to understand their role respectively. Going Renekton Kai'Sa, it feels a lot more solo queue-esque. People are being a little bit selfish here on Evil Geniuses Academy, and going into the second phase, all I have is concerns.
Well, it does offer maybe a potential teamfight win through the Kai'Sa. But the problem is you're promising that this Kai'Sa is going to win versus the lane that Immortals is putting everything into. The lane where, let me check the stats, Keith currently has a 28 KDA. And again, that number doesn't necessarily mean much because they've won 2 games and whatever. But the point is, Keith is the carry for this team. They are putting all the resources into that lane, and EG are challenging that head-on so far.
And you also gave him the counter pick. Like, you got the counter pick as well. You already picked Shoryu's Kai'Sa. He gets Jhin for a third time. He's not been able to get off of this champion. He's been doing immaculate on it so far. And then you're also giving R5 counter pick for the support for Joey, who is able to find those exploitative points in a lot of their matchups previous' performance. And this is where Evil Geniuses is now at a sense where they realize what happened. They're saying, okay, we need to back ourselves out, like sort of not back into this corner, but get ourselves out of this corner and somewhere where we can start to make our own production and proactivity in the early phases. The Silas pickup is a comfort pick for Jojo Pyun, and it's something where he can match pretty with Twisted Fate's Destiny roams and try and counteract that and keep track of everybody. But you are already so deep in this hole. Kaisa Alistar is now the only real investment that I see on the side of Evil Geniuses Academy that you can invest in heavily.
And yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about. The only way for EG to win this game, as we currently see it, is through their bottom lane and late game team fights. And that is what Immortals have demonstrated an ability and desire to dominate from. They have demonstrated that they are going to pour all of their resources into Keith and Joey on these two champions exactly. And they are going to demolish the best teams in Academy with that 1-2 combo and the full focus into that bot lane. So either EG are real confident that they can go head-to-head with the best bottom lane currently playing in Academy, or they have messed up in draft.
I'm going to let that up to the viewer to decide, because I'm going to be as unbiased as possible for this one. But I will give a little bit of a snippet for Evil Geniuses Academy. I saw Immortals, Joey, he picks up Rel. This is just more of a personal opinion for Rel, is that she does struggle a little bit with laning phase, especially when you're running into Kaisa Alistar, who have that upper hand against you. They're very easy to counteract your own engagements as Rel, being very obvious with her charge in. But once you get into team fights, once you get into the thick of it, that's when Rel starts to thrive. And going in, getting some pressure already away from Evil Genius's hands, making sure that they are forced to play traditionally, just continues to feed into Immortals' playstyle, saying, you play our game, and you're going to suffer.
Pretty is roaming down there to ward, so that Joey can run Oracle lands, and he can do that because it's Talia jungle.
Yeah, you don't need to keep track of contracts on this one. I think he'll be totally fine just making sure that he can trust Potluck on that end, and just make sure that if Potluck is ever in his quadrant of the map, he'll be able to disconnect from Keith, help him out, and either rally Potluck with him for a lane gank and set up for Dragon, or possibly catch contracts out.
I do want to hammer in on the Rel a bit. I know we're both support mains, but I've been playing a lot of Rel personally. I agree with you that Rel is a little weak in laning phase, but Rel is really, really good at one-off skirmishes. Yeah. Rel is a quintessential team-fighting champion, so whilst the poking phase of lane is going to be real rough for Joey, the second they start getting roams, which we know they will from Potluck and Pretty, Rel is perfectly set up for that.
Yeah, it's either Joey and Keith are going to be able to break out of the lane of Shoryu and Mystiques, or it's Pretty and Potluck who are going to hit that level 6 power spike with their ultimates, and that they are going to bring the fight to them instead. And either of those effects is really beneficial for Immortals, where Evil Geniuses here, if they're able to find some advantages in the pre-6 phase, where they get some really good priority in their lanes from either Tony Top or Jojo Pyun, and then start to try and get at least some control of vision in the river to where they can keep track of Potluck, they might have the capability to pinch him if he tries to do anything cheeky, like sneaking a dragon or a herald perchance.
Yeah, I mean, it is, one is the escape hatch for the paradigm we've set up where EG kind of just lose automatically. It is dominant lane performances. If EG can pull out these lanes, then nothing we say matters. Team comp isn't actually that big a deal.
Yeah. Yes, no worries. Though, I want to go back
Just
to like what of your narrative point with Jojo Pyun. Like, he's doing pretty good on the Silas so far, at least getting some priority there to make sure that he is in hands and in tandem with Contracts, who's just peeking into Potluck's jungle.
Yeah, Jojo Pyun has been consistently not just surviving laning phase, but winning laning phase. And it is one of the great tragedies that EG aren't playing around that so far.
So far, slow and steady. There we go. There's some lane trading there, but Keith has still have so much pressure, especially with the fourth shot that he was able to land onto Mystiques. Just making sure that the damage sticks too, because Alistar is going to struggle just a bit with how much harassment Keith has been dishing out, and that's one of the more refined nuances of how these lanes are going to interact, is how much of that damage actually sticks for a very long time between these trades. And you look to the top side, not a problem. Jojo Pyun, pretty unhealthy at the moment. He can recall if he so chooses after he goes ahead and catches this wave that Pretty pushes in. And then with Pretty's reset, you don't need to exchange TP for TP. This lane's pretty neutral, as there's still more fights in the bottom lane.
Mystiques will headbutt Joey underneath, needs to burn the flash. Joey very, very low.
Okay.
Shoryu gets first blood. That is exactly what EG needed. Immediately after weed out their bottom lane, they started off with a win over aggression from Joey is punished by the evil geniuses.
And let's look at that again. Joey seeing if he can find that crack in the armor of Shoryu and Mystiques, but he is the one that gets caught in the bear trap, and they're able to shove him back under turret. He takes that turret shot as well, and with the quick disengagement from Mystiques, it's all Shoryu's game to play, and he's able to take down the member of Joey from Immortals, getting that first blood, and that's what we were looking for, getting some pre-6 attention into the lanes of evil geniuses so they can at least keep up in tempo once the game starts to break open more.
Yeah, the I suppose, other win condition that we didn't even address was, hey, what if they do just win lane? What if they do just knock Keith and Joey out of lane? And the answer is then evil geniuses just win, because that is what Immortals have built their team around.
Yeah. It is still very solo queue-esque. Like, everyone is still playing for themselves. Contracts is going to try and power farm as much as possible so he can get to those power spikes, pick up the Leandries as it is, and here you go. Joey says, okay, I'm not doing too well in lane, time to get out of it and try and see if I can find anyone else. But at the moment, he is in a tough spot as Jojo makes sure that he forces that Hex Flash.
I mean, forces the Hex Flash, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he was in a little bit of a bind for sure, but, you know, it's only 20 seconds. He'll be fine. Just see if he can get some vision, keep track of contracts if he can. And at this point, I feel if I was Mystiques, I'd be pretty confident right now. I'd say, hey, contracts, I think we can get some alcove gaming going on. We can get some flanks here. And already they're calling for some attention.
Good to see. Ward will catch out the rotate. Good shot timing from Joey. Joey has been one of those rookie players that I think has really impressed everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold this, maybe caster curse them as Keith will flash away. Joey, of course, does not have the flash.
Ooh.
And so will fall again. Caster curse is promised.
It is a tragedy to have that happen, but at this point in time, I'm a little disappointed in Immortals for not providing as much attention and the priority going over to Evil Genius's side. They're taking exactly what they need to. They do have some vision out here to control the mark of Potluck's Kindred. They're going to be able to snag that one away, make sure he doesn't pick that one up. But also, this reset is going to be a stage where they're not going to be worried about Dragon. Contracts is still in the vicinity. Shoryu can be fine going back, grabbing some items, cashing back in, and then resetting the wave to where Keith and Joey are in this weird debacle of saying, we need to freeze the wave, but we also need to have that priority. And this is, again, just Mystique having the confidence, saying, look, we have the damage, we can 2v2 him, all we need is contracts here to finish the kills.
Yeah, and it's really well executed. Not really a whole lot of fancy footwork happening here, but none of it was needed. Joey had no flash. They don't even really try to go for Keith after the flash is burnt. They force Keith to flash and say, okay, Keith can hang out. We're going to get another kill. Keep feeding the monster that can be Shoryu.
No one likes the Fed Kaisa unless it is on your team, for sure.
Shoryu was, of course, also an amateur promotion.
Yeah.
He played on the new roster that dueled 100 Thieves Next for the top slot the entirety of the last amateur season.
The problem with Shoryu's history, though, is that he's never been a star player. He's been a good complementary player, and that's, again, feeds into the Evil Genius's stigma of everyone not being able to be that power player, but they are forced to with just how the current ecosystem is in the academy roster. With this trade up, though, this is Mystique's trying to track Joey, who is starting to get a little frustrated with how that laning phase has gone. Keith is starting to be left out. Potluck is just continuing to at least stay afloat with the power farming that Contracts has been dishing out. And I'm seeing some pings here on this Rift Herald. They're diverting their eyes up here to see if they can start breaking open turrets. And this is more Immortals trying to be ahead of the game than Evil Genius is trying to start anything.
Yeah, Joey, as I was about to say before he got ganked in the bottom lane, did get to play in the LCS and looked real good. Performed above and beyond expectations with a firm focus on roaming and hard engaged supports, finding opportunities, making opportunities for their team. So, Immortals, despite losing a lot of the potential HP scaling, the potential tankiness of Joey in this mid-game, I think you shouldn't count out Joey's ability to still find hard engages on a character like Ren.
Do you need to catch up just a hair though with the leveling. It is level 4 to level 5, so this dragon with the vision priority that they have, they're in a little bit of a bind here. Evil Geniuses needs to disengage from this one. Does have to use the Weaver's Wall to get out of that one, but Pretty making sure that the chase continues.
And yeah, Contracts might not be out yet. Curtain Call will arc through. Mystiques will go down. Contracts pops out of the bush. All onto Joey. Magnetic Storm will tie down Jojo Pyun. And it is disastrous for Evil Geniuses.
A great catch there from Immortals with Pretty pressing the advantage that he had seen. Destiny calls in, gets the gold card straight onto Mystiques, picking up the kill for Keith. And with that, they could go for this dragon. However, they're going to call it off because look at how the current position of Evil Geniuses is. Shoyu is in the vicinity, has all of his tools available for him, and so is Contracts as well. So they're not going to try and overreach. They're going to play it slow, play it safe, because in the end, they are still confident with their late game scaling and how their team fights will dish out. This is just a great catch again from Pretty, who has been so active in this roster.
Pretty is the kind of roaming mid laner that you look for. He's the kind of star player. Came out of the Vitality team in the, I believe, best Spanish league, Ultra Liga, and certainly is somebody to watch, I think, going forward. We talked to him on the first day of Academy. They won their game. And I sat down with him afterwards and said, how long do you intend to be on Academy? And he said, I'm going to be in the LCS by next split.
That's ambitious, I'd say.
So
he's
making
a good argument for himself. Yeah, his argument is strong. However, it's now a question of more of just Immortals' org of transitioning up to that point, because he's got some big shoes to fill if he wants to get to that LCS position in a hasty manner like he is so boasting. But at this point, it's more focused on how well he'll be able to continue that pressure throughout the Academy season. And one person that we continue to sort of forget, which is a great thing for Immortals, is Tapoon, who has been doing absolutely fine and dandy on this Gnar and is making...
Yeah, I am getting a little bit of freezing on my side, so I will pass things back over to you.
No worries. It's all cleared up on my end, at least, as Evil Geniuses is currently making a rotation to get some vision back in their favor for this dragon. They did call out trying to track where Potluck is. I don't think they know that Potluck is on the bottom side of the map, and that's what they're being a little bit hesitant for. Shoryu's trying to scout that out with Mystiques right now, but Potluck has just appeared out of the bushes, and Mystiques is in trouble.
Yeah, Mystiques is so far forward here. He's just trying to distract as much as possible. There isn't the blast code. Flash of the wall, Joey Hart engages. Magnet Storm drops. Shoryu, no HP, even through the killer instinct. I do not know how Mystiques has made it out this far. Ooh, he will eventually be shut down. Keith claiming the kill.
And it's just unfortunate for Evil Geniuses. I understand their goal of getting some control around this dragon, but they didn't check all of those preset macro setups of saying, all right, we need to know where Potluck is. Do we have the damage to try and hard burst this down? They separated their members for that scouting responsibility while they are also sitting on top of the dragon. So not only are you stretching out your resources in a short amount of time, but you're also using that time dishing out a lot of damage onto yourself from that dragon. So this is where, looking at how everyone is all divided, Contracts is starting dragon, Shoryu and Mystiques are scouting where they already have vision set up for that flank. They needed to find Potluck. They did not need to find Keith and Joey. They knew where they were, and because of that, Potluck just comes right on in and says, hello, I'm here, you're out of here, goodbye, this is my dragon.
And Joey with such good engage as well, able to be that front line, and all the damage that EG did during the early game has been undone. You can see what we were talking about with the constant shift of resources over towards the bottom lane. It hasn't manifested in lane ganks so far, but every time there's a team fight, it is around Keith, it is around giving Keith kills, and they are making sure he has that high involvement and high kill participation. Yeah,
he's participated in all 4 kills so far for Immortals this game, and as long as they keep that track record going forward, he is going to be a monster to deal with later down the line, not only in just this game, maybe 10-15 minutes down, but also tomorrow and later on in the Academy season. So keep up that pressure as it is for Immortals, where going back into this, curious on how EG will approach this Rift Herald that will be about to spawn.
I know what you're trying to say, but I really like the idea that he's going to scale so hard. He'll have
yeah.
gold left over for next week.
Put it all into stocks. He's putting all the extra gold into GameStop stocks.
for legal
cashes in the
reasons.
next time.
That is not investment advice.
Nope.
Watching your back, Coco.
Thanks for the backup on that one. But Keith making sure that he's got backup as well. Joey just hanging off on the flank with the tri-bush, making sure that EG's eyes are absolutely blind to what Potluck is doing in their jungle, and Contracts might be in a little bit of a bind here. Same with Jojo.
Oh, dive in, Contracts in trouble. Potluck will take the front lines, and Potluck actually getting chunked here. Still has the Lamb's Respite, but Mystiques is in. No. Lamb's Respite will go down first. Mystiques in trouble. Healed up by the Lamb's Respite. Potluck will go down. Joey now the front lines. This looks darn good for EG as the Weaver's Wall cuts off Joey and finds a second kill. That is what EG were looking for. They'll tie up the kill scoreline for all.
And they find a great reply from
Keith.
Immortals' over-ambitious
Keith.
play. Hello? Okay, bye. Bye.
He's slightly off the corner of our screen, so I'm having trouble following it.
I heard you say
doesn't-
Keith, and I was
It
I
looks like
looked
it was
on over.
fine.
Just trying to follow where the camera went, and it diverted me from the slaughter that Keith was doing against Contracts. But back to that, how that fight went down, it was Immortals, specifically Potluck, being over-ambitious with trying to look for a catch in Contracts' jungle, and then getting punished severely from it, because Jojo was already in position ready for it. Here we look again, like everyone was available, but this is that overstretch of just in this odd choke point where Pretty and Joey have to address Jojo Pyun's skirmish, and that creates an opening for Mystiques to come in and lock down Potluck to get that kill, and then the rest of the team is sort of left to scramble at the disaster that had unfolded for Immortals.
The second you see Jojo Pyun kind of waiting in the wing, bit daring you to take that skirmish fight, I do think you need to pull the
Here
plug.
it is. This is like the same thing
my
that just happened to
God.
Potluck. Contracts was just like, yeah, I'm going to check in, see if I can get some extra pressure, maybe steal a Gromp away from Potluck while he's in gray screen, and Keith's like, nope. Do not touch my jungle camps whatsoever. Those are for Potluck, sir. As now sitting 3-0, still participating very well. I'm looking for that rapid fire cannon next on to Keith, but zooming in on Potluck, who has had a really good performance in week 1, is starting to make some hiccups here in week 2 already against Evil Geniuses.
Jojo Pyun round the side, under top and Tony top 1 HP coming back from underneath the turret with ult burned. Contracts won't find anything. Top 1 doesn't find anything. This is all rather disastrous. Oh, Void Seeker will find the kill as Contracts closes things out. That was Shoryu like halfway across the map. He was in the river by Baron Pit.
Yeah, he was, and all 5 members being on the top side of the map gives Immortals a little breath of relief to this bottom side. Keith can say, okay, I can get some additional farm. Honestly, he can get some pressure and priority onto this dragon, which will be spawning in 20 seconds. So the rest of Immortals is sort of scrambling to make sure that they can address that objective when the need arises. But Evil Geniuses investing on that top side, not getting the Rift Herald either. They had to find that kill, and being able to grab that and then reset for this dragon is great timing from them. However, they are going to be pushing forward into a bit of darkness here as Joey catches out Mystiques.
Or Mystiques catches out Joey. It's hard to tell. Joey goes down, and all of a sudden it's crystal clear. Keith smited as well as hurt by Contracts. Will need to fall away, and that very likely ends Immortals' Dragon Dreams.
Again, I have the disengage off that one. No more frontline for them as Joey has fallen to the hands of Shoryu once more. It is just tragic seeing Joey on this pickup. He's just not been able to find the correct engagements. And like I mentioned with Mystique's Alistar, it's something that Rel has such obvious sort of signals and signs for when she wants to jump in that Mystiques can just immediately counter it, can look for a different re-engagement, and then just sort of acquire a new target for him and Shoryu to lock onto. And Joey, being as squishy as he is, has just no capability to retreat or fall back to the rest of his team.
Rel tends to negatively snowball because if you fall behind early in lane, Weaver's Wall, top in, won't get over it. Contracts ready for him. Goodbye, Topoon.
That was just an early call, early hop there from Topoon that just forced him to fall to the hands of Contract and Tony Top. And this gives an open lane as well. This is just reaping the rewards of some slight micro mistakes that Immortals' roster is making. And Evil Geniuses is just biting at their heels left and right. The Shoryu Mystiques kills that they were able to find in the early laning phase. We can look at this one once more where Joey says, hey, I've got 3 minutes to help me out. But where did my health go after those 2 seconds? Contracts just absolutely obliterated him from that bush and gives them the dragon for free. And this is where, even though Immortals is coming in, hold on, we have a fight.
Joey in the front lines, caught out dead again. 1-for-1 trade though as Mystiques goes down. Both supports dead. No more information to report at this time.
Okay, we'll have to see how that fight started once more. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing of what we just saw in the replay, where both of the supports caught each other in their warning manners, and then immediately the teams just snapped on top of them. And I was going to talk about the point of how Immortals, even though they have a composition that is very easy to understand, they're running into these weird hiccups of this solo queue-esque evil geniuses that every single one of the players are playing hyper-aggressive because they're playing for themselves and for their own leads.
And evil geniuses are making it work, which is different from previous games, right? This is a better look for the team, and if I had to pinpoint a single thing that's making it come together, I would say Contracts all the way. He is the glue that is making all 3 lanes come together into a cohesive whole, despite them, as we criticized during the draft, not having a super clear win condition. Despite them not always being on the same page in these team fights, Contracts has been able to corral these opportunities for his team.
I'll touch back on their match against FlyQuest as well, because Contract had been that player who sort of helped keep the early game afloat and in contact with each other. So this was actually Mystiques catching out Potluck, who was trying to sneak away that blue buff. Does step in a little bit too far. Joey tries to find that exploitation, and both of the teams sort of jump on top of the 2 targets that those supports called out for. Makes it a trade for trade, unfortunately, for Mystiques and Joey losing their lives, and no one really finds an advantage out of that. But to that end, this is still something where Contracts can still hold tempo, can still try and make calls where he can around these objectives. It's just a question of if he's going to be able to keep the rest of the team afloat going forward, because I've seen this game before. It was just like the FlyQuest game that they had. Jojo Pion had a good mid-game performance. Contracts was being able to become a leader for his team. However, there's still some falters that can arise if Immortals is able to look for it.
Yeah. The real test is still in these team fights. We were very hard on evil geniuses during the early game, and that is because it is so easy to pinpoint that as a problem when their individual lanes are so good, when their players are so promising.
Of course.
They do not have the damage for this.
No, this is more baiting of a Baron than it is challenging anything whatsoever for objectives. We also know that the Dragon's going to be up in the next minute, so even trying to challenge that Baron where you will lose that fight because of how much damage you'll take, you also lose not only that objective, but the Dragon as well, which is that Infernal Soul, which will really ramp up the damage that Keith and Pretty have been dishing out this entire game, not to mention Pollock with the Press the Attack Kindred, who is just buying that rune on certain.
So, as I think was underscored there, it is really easy to see EG making macro mistakes and that undermining what is a good roster. And that's, I think, why we're both a little harsh on them, because there is clearly something here. This is a good team of good players. Case in point, this game. And yet it is consistently fallen apart so far. This game, maybe the turning point on that is Keith marches forward here in mid lane, scaring back the EG members. They know something's up. I don't think they knew how many members were in that bush, but
well, they know Dragons
because all the while, EG, as you say, are grabbing that Drake. This is going to be a successful pickup for them.
I think this
is
is
in their pocket.
An acceptable loss for Immortals. They can see Pretty on the top side saying, all right, I'm just pushing in, seeing if I can get some extra turret damage on our side of the map here, so we can sort of weaken the defenses around Evil Geniuses. And Jojo Pion, great reply coming in as he was able to really help shove away Pretty. And that is exactly what his role is going to be, is to sort of temper and almost kind of domesticate this split pushing style that Immortals is going to be throwing at them. He's going to have to answer Tapoon's Gnar. He's going to have to answer Pretty's Twisted Fate, because if you look across, Tony Top will not be able to handle the Gnar in a few moments time. Sure, you got the Sterix and the Gore Drinker ready to go. That is team fighting necessity that Evil Geniuses needs to stall time for Shoryu and Contracts to come online and dish out their damage. So it is up to Jojo Pune to manner out these side lanes for the mid game. And hello, we're going to have to replay that one again, because that's what I was talking about. Tapoon will be able to start taking over Tony Top.
Curtain call. Oh, huge stun from Pretty. A shutdown as a result. 2 kills, EG drop, Contracts EG drop, Tony top on the top side. And now Immortals are going to be able to grab this Baron. Or at least threaten it. There is no jungle to contest for 20 seconds. I don't know how fast this Immortals Baron take is, though. Jhin.
It's a 3v5. It's slow-ish, but it's all Kindred damage. Kindred is just dishing out that raw damage here from Kraken Slayer and the percentage throw. So they're going to get off and they're going in.
Front lines into stasis. Jojo Pyun will drop into stasis as well, be finished off by Potluck. Nobody dies. Joey very low. Baron will be taken successfully by Immortals.
Jojo Pyun, ambitious? I'm not going to agree with it, though. That was something that it felt like a selfish play, saying, I think I can turn this game around if I am able to find the right call here, the right catch. He goes and grabs the Mega Gnar ultimate, but immediately gets turned on by Joey and Pretty. They just immediately lock him down. Keith turns his head, fires the shots, takes him out. And this is where, even though Immortals has a slow Baron, they just need Potluck on it to do that DPS, to just whittle it away. They can turn, take out the rest of the members, and this is that replay of what we were looking for from Tony Top.
Pretty goes down here, plays this fight perfectly, by the way. Then goes, oh, I spot an opportunity, runs up through the river, finds a second gold card stun on the Contracts this time, and gets Immortals their Baron.
He is really making a name for himself on this roster. It is insane how well he is playing today. And this is what we were talking about with the comfort pick that is Pretty's Twisted Fate. He has been able to just be constantly active. He doesn't like laning phase too much. He just wants to be in the thick of it and creating fights and creating pressure elsewhere on the map. And now sort of being forced into this middle lane, Evil Geniuses don't have the wave clear to keep up against the suppression that is this Baron buffed Immortals.
And you can see Keith, you know, benefiting from all the resources that have been dumped onto his pocket. Just chunking people now. Curtain call, Contracts into stasis. Joey round the flank, instant CC, Magnetic Storm will find the kill. TPs into the backlines. It's Mystiques and Tony with a deep dive. The Potluck ultimate will slow things down. Lamb's Respite buying a lot of time. Keith and Co can regroup, but they've already lost Joey, so they need to find this turn without HP on the front lines. And Chapoon's got the kill. Jojo Pyun in this stasis, so far forward, will be hunted down, is able to get away, but Immortals win the team fight 2-for-1 on the trading cards, and with another turret to their name.
And Mystiques had come into that fight way too late. Tony Top and Contracts were trying to create some sense of chaos for Immortals to get mixed up in, but Immortals having their heads low, keeping their heads to the ground, understanding who they need to focus upon that fight, making sure that they can stick on top of Keith and give him the attention that is needed for him to just dish out a massive amount of damage. Also a huge shout out for Pretty for always looking for those peak opportunity gold cards to stun Contracts from dishing out any of that burst damage that Talia is known for.
Yeah, you could see just that full engage be completely stymied. Joey finding a sick opportunity and timing here, must be said.
It's a good catch. This was that late call for Mystiques, and Tony Top, they know what they need to do, but it's all the rest of the members of Immortals saying, look, all we need to do, protect Keith, keep back peeling for him, because there's no way the rest of Evil Geniuses will be able to get through to this choke point. And it was just a wonderful play from Immortals to just take over that fight and continue their tempo.
And we're right back into it with Mystiques running away. As exactly what we warned about has come true. Immortals come into the mid game, come into the team fighting, demonstrated better team play. Now, though, an opportunity will be spotted. Keith over the wall is to safety. Sure, you will chase with Killer Instinct, and it's a huge shutdown, but a 1-for-1 trade. We'll see how this continues. A massive ultimate from Jojo Pyun, grabs a double kill, and may have just got an Evil Geniuses back into this game. Joey is surely dead as well, as EG find a single opportunity and stretch it into 4 consecutive kills.
I was really concerned onto how far that Evil Geniuses was going to stretch to get that shutdown onto Keith, but Jojo Pyun grabs that Mega Gnar ultimate, sees Immortals all grouping up to protect their key member, and he throws them straight into the wall, causing such a massive disruption, giving the rest of his team time to catch up, apply the damage onto Keith, take him out with Pretty as well, and all of the rest of Immortals was just stunned to a point of no contestation.
The duality of Evil Geniuses.
It is... I think this is just the solo queue composition that they've cooked up has been getting away with so much that I am really being harsh on Immortals here with how much they've been giving away. Like contracts, Mystiques, this is a great call on them to try and get onto Keith and force the summoners, but look at how far they stretch to get onto him. Jojo Pyun grabs that Mega Gnar.
Don't worry.
It's like, it was just the right call, and every single member read it right.
Every single member of EG individually made a sick call and a sick play. One after the other. Every single player stepped up and did a little bit more than they should have been able to. And that is a testament, to be clear, to the skill of the Evil Geniuses roster.
Yep.
But it is a
Oh, goodbye, Potluck.
Is it though? Over the wall?
Yeah.
No. Easy kill. It is a worrying sign, I think, as well for Immortals, who should not be struggling against that.
Like you said, it's something where as much as we want this team to develop as a cohesive unit, the individuality of all of it has been keeping them in this game for so long. And it's amazing to see how well Jojo Pyun is doing. Like, I'm becoming a huge fan of Jojo. I had my doubts here, but he has been really making a great argument for himself. Oh, hello.
We're opening things up again. TV in the back lines. The waivers. Contracts cut them all off. You're going nowhere. The saloon door is closed, and we are not taking any more customers. A deep dive into the back lines from Jojo Pyun. He will isolate Pretty and Topoon, zone them away from the Baron. With 3 kills in the pot, it is time for EG to start cooking.
Yeah, but Immortals still has a chance to reply. This is a slow walk for Evil Geniuses to get to this Baron, and this is a great call from Pretty of Topoon to pressure this bottom inhibitor while Potluck has just respawned. He could sprint down to this Baron, but he says, no, you know what, we can give it to them, allow this pressure to happen. This is going to be an interesting chase off of this inhibitor from Evil Geniuses to try and force away Topoon and Pretty.
Topoon and Pretty see the pressure elsewhere on the map, drop a hashtag live evil of their own, shove in the mid lane, take a turret, won't get anything more. Check out this Weaver's Wall.
This was just a wonderful call from Contracts, getting all 3 members into this death pit, and a 3-man knockup from Mystiques. Every single member, this doesn't feel like a team that is planning this. It is a team that is reacting to each other. And it continues to reiterate. Yeah, it continues to reiterate that whole factor of, like, this is a tragedy of Evil Geniuses, of saying these are some players that didn't get picked up for different reasons, and they have been sitting on this academy roster saying, okay, well, what can we do together to help create our own identity? And this might be that one game where they go back, they sit and review, whether it's a win or lose, they sit and review this game and they say, this is what we should be playing like.
There is something here, and I think if I had to try and extract a coherent plan from this game, I would say play around Contracts. I think that's the takeaway.
I think it's always been like that. It's something where it's this duality of Contracts, of him being a young jungler who had a really quick upstart from Cloud9, sort of a too quick uprising, to where he fell from grace just as fast, and it lost him a lot of the respect for him to take on that leadership mantle. Now on Evil Geniuses, where none of that really applies anymore, and he's on this new team with all these new players, he can then retake that leadership and help drive this team forward to a successful season.
We're doing it again. Contracts into the backlines with the Weaver's Wall. Mystiques will follow up. It's going to be a Lamb's Refined drop there. Topoon tries to flank backside. Shoryu trying to stay alive. They've found 1 kill, but Topoon shuts down the trade. A huge play on the front lines, though. Jojo Pyun for a double. Again, dominating team fight after team fight. Jojo Pyun cannot be stopped. And Immortals are on the back foot now. EG keep putting together plays, one after the other. I cannot explain it, but I sure am witnessing it. Pretty will dive forward, not Contracts low, not close the kill, and EG are just shoving in for the Nexus. They'll take another inhibitor. 30 seconds on respawns. Joey and Keith back in less. Pretty hiding behind turret. Gold card in for Tony Top. Low HP across the board. Can he stop this game? Oh, he's gone. 1 turn remaining. Joey off the respawn. CC chain is available. The Nexus is being focused. Contracts is the dive. Contracts is down. Tony Top and Shoryu focus in on the Nexus and take the game. Evil Geniuses pull it out, ending their 0-2 record and ending the 2-0 record of Immortals.
And what an upset there, TJ, coming in from Evil Geniuses Academy. Everything was built up against them in this match. Something where we did not come in expecting Evil Geniuses to either have a good, cohesive draft for a team identity.
They did.
The players, like, it was something where this was such a solo queue game. They made Immortals get out of that team identity of, oh, this is a home for us, we're going to develop together. And EGA is like, no, we're going back to NA tradition and we're playing solo queue.
So solo queue, it feels like BM, and I want to address what that means in this context. Is they went into the game and said, hey, our game plan is to win every lane. And then they did.
I would argue every lane, but it was something where
our game plan is that every individual player is going to pull out huge clutch plays, and then they did.
And it was something that you do see on a regular basis, especially with how these players are. Contracts has broken the Talia curse in Academy, has had an immaculate performance on that, and it was something where it is showing that each one of these players is a prospect for teams to develop. Maybe not all together, but it's something that they all have those individual tools. And that's where Shoryu being able to find this final understanding with his support of Mystiques, being able to win that lane on the bottom side of the map, shut down Joey and Keith, who have been dominating in week 1, and then Jojo Pion, who has been consistent from the start, where he has been able to also assist Contracts with his calls and his macro setups, and then be able to find those weak flanks and those exploits in the ranks of their opponent. And it was shown there in that Mega Gnar replay where they really stretched to shut down Keith.
Coming into this game, we had a little bit of discussion behind the scenes where I was like, I don't know, Jojo Pion's actually been kind of sick. And you were like, oh, I don't know, they're not really winning games. Are you convinced now?
It is something where I am starting to turn to the faith of Jojo Pion, but it is the pastor of Contracts. Contracts is preaching the word of Jojo and be like, look at this man. I will guide him to the promise and the promised land, and that is what I'm looking for. It's Jojo Pion and Contracts.
I do not think that game has resolved our questions about Evil Genius. I think this Evil Genius Academy team still does not have a coherent identity, still is relying on individual outplays to make things happen, but the individual outplays just did make something happen. They just did take down Immortals Academy, who were previously undefeated, and that is a spark on which I am fascinated to see Evil Genius's build.
It's going to be curious to see how that one goes through. Because again, remember how they're going to be going back and reviewing this and seeing how they should be working together as a team to create an Evil Geniuses Academy that will be dominating later down the line.
We are going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we have an interview with Mystiques. You won't want to miss that. We also do still have one more game today. FlyQuest Academy taking on CLG. All that's still ahead. Don't go far. You won't want to miss the end of this day of LCS Academy. Welcome back to the Verizon post-game interview. My name's still TJ, still with Coco, now joined by Mystiques. You guys just reached into a top hat and pulled out a rabbit, and that rabbit was called an upset win over Immortals Academy. How are you feeling?
Hello, by the way, I'm feeling good. I feel like this win was pretty necessary for us to actually restart from the previous week. So the win is actually for me just like a reset, that everything's fine and we're not that bad. But I felt like the last week games could have been won as well, but due to my worst performance, I feel like those 2 games, if I just performed a bit better, they were winnable too.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to lead into the next question, where it never felt like Evil Geniuses, you guys have been out of a game ever so far in the Academy season. And I'm curious of how are you guys going forward with building sort of a sense of structure for the team, because it is a team filled with a lot of unknowns. You don't have a true carry player just yet. Are you guys looking to be more formulated as just working one by one as with Shoryu and with Jojo, or just looking to be under one banner like Contracts with his calls?
I think, at least personally for me, I want to make it that that our solo laners will be our carries. Of course, meta is around jungle at the moment, mostly, but the solo laners are important as well, and I personally want to create good space for my solo laners and this Jojo and Tonya are like just really good mechanically, and they are just good. But the only thing they're lacking is some knowledge, and they are missing some information on where to be sometimes on the map. But besides that, if they just have some time with our team and we, invest time in them, they are gonna be our carries, in my opinion, our teams, and they're gonna be smashing really hard.
I wanna take you towards the end of that game. You guys are receiving a push down the mid lane. Immortals have most of the pressure onto your tier 2, and Contracts, I don't know how, spots an opportunity, comes around the back, drops a Weaver's Wall that just pens the entire team into that mid lane. None of them can get out. Can you talk through kind of how that moment was created and what the conversation sounded like in your team comps?
The Kindred, no, there was one person who was dead for sure, and they were disrespecting us on mid lane because it was 5 versus 4 and we had Silas CP, so we were like walking out of base that if they are overstaying on mid, we want to fight them because we are 5 versus 4. So if they are disrespecting us, let's just go on them, fight, and we should win because we outnumbered them, and that's what just happened. And Contracts actually, yeah, his wall was super good, and they didn't have flashes still up, so he actually made us come back to the game. I also would like to say thank you to our scrim partners from yesterday who actually showed us the Silas into TF and Gnar. I felt like this pick was true 1 versus 9 for the ultimate at least. It was a really good pick, and Jojo just carried us also in some fights. So our scrim partners definitely showed us yesterday something good into the picks they showed. So I wanted to thank them.
Oh, great.
Very wholesome, and I think, as you said, a very good win for your team. I'm rooting for you guys throughout the rest of the season. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much as well. Have a good night.
We are going to have a good night, but not quite yet. We're not turning off the screens just yet. There's one more component, Coco. We got to head over to our first game of the day. It got pushed back, it got delayed, and we got FlyQuest Academy versus CLG Academy to close things out. You won't want to miss it. Don't go far. LCS Academy's going late, but we're going to be closing it down right after this.